going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of building this ridiculous Liberty on airbags and big axles and military tires and junk. So I'm almost to the point where I can start this thing. I've got my fuel pump and everything hooked up. I've got my entire evap system hooked back up. I've got all my lines temporarily hooked up underneath right there. Let's see what else I've got a battery sitting in it right here. Got a battery sitting in there, and I've got my jumper cables and everything hooked up, but I haven't tried to start this thing yet. I'm letting the battery charge, and I'm kind of putting it off because I'm really nervous. So let's try it. I don't know what's clicking. All right, we're gonna try and start this thing. And they can start. Alright guys, so I've looked and looked and looked, and I've tried to find other people that have done this fuel tank relocation, and I've only been able to find one or two, and they didn't really show, how they actually did it, what it all entailed. There's a little bit of detail, but not really a whole lot. So I'm really going to try and go in as much detail with this fuel tank relocation as I can, because I know there's been other people that's wanted to do it. They just really didn't know how, or didn't know the steps to take, or whatever. Now this isn't going to be like a how-to per se. This is going to be how I did it. So hopefully by the end of this video, this thing's going to be this cradle and everything, the floor and everything back here is going to be done, and I'm hoping this thing's going to be running. Won't be driving, but hopefully it's going to be running with a semi-permanent fuel tank back here in the back. But enough talking, more cutting and welding and working. All right, now you can see that piece of angle is put in there to act as a little shelf. My son actually tacked that in for me. It's not permanent. Now we got this other piece here that is not really in its permanent home yet. It's just kind of being held up there by this jack. So, and a piece of 2x4. But it is going to be very solid once it's done. So, got a little bit of trimming to do right around in here. Got some holes to drill, and hopefully here in about 20 minutes this piece here will be more permanent. Alright, man, so I've got most of the framework mocked up. Let's take a look at it. Man, I'm dirty already, cutting all this metal. Alright, so I've got this stiffener kind of sit there in place. I've got my other smaller piece here sit there. I've got this bolted in place. I still have to weld it, but got this giant open area now. So what I'm doing is cutting a piece out of here, and I'm going to close that in. Now I'm going to see how strong it is once I get this in place. If I'm thinking it's going to be strong enough, I don't know if I'm going to put any braces underneath of it. I probably will, just to strengthen it up. That way if I do kind of come down hard on a rock in the back, if it doesn't hit the axle or the bumper, it doesn't shoot up to the fuel tank. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll get this cut out and then slap it in there, go from there. guess we got some trimming to do. All right, so this is what I have came up with. I've got my 2 braces that go from, the back to the front, kind of at an angle, and they are, I believe, 1/4 inch or 3/16. So should be pretty good. I did have to make a spacer plate for this side and this side here, just to make sure this whole surface here is flat. So now all I got to do is just tack everything in and get it welded up solid. Gonna be a lot of welding, but this whole back half here will be a lot stronger than what it was before, and that's kind of what I was going with. I could probably spend some more time and put maybe a few more pieces in here to kind of rigidify it a little bit more, but I think what I got going on here, I think that's going to work pretty good. So I'm gonna weld on this for a while, and then I got to go to work. So let's get to welding. It's not going to do itself. All right, so I started welding everything in. I did add a little piece here and on the other side, just to give that bottom plate there a little bit more support, but I've got a lot of welding ahead of me. So I'm gonna work on this some more and be back here in just a few minutes. Enjoy the awful welding clips, because I'm an awful welder. Get it? Let's go. Well, guys, I have to go for tonight, but don't go nowhere. I'll be back out here tomorrow. Let me show you what I got finished on the welding. It's probably 75% welded in there already. It's been going a little bit better than I thought. So let's take a look. So I've got this kind of tacked in up top. I've got just about everything else welded in. So I do have some stuff kind of back here that I gotta get finished up, but it's looking better. So I should be able to finish up the welding tomorrow, get the floor put in it, and then probably the next day I'll go ahead and throw the fuel tank back in, get everything hooked up, and try and get this thing started. I really want to hear this thing run. I know I didn't do anything to the engine and transmission and all that stuff, but relocating the fuel tank and everything, I really kind of want to make sure that this thing is going to run. It's not going to run right. It's not going to run good, but I do want to hear it run, because I want to make sure that everything with the relocation of the tank is going to be right with the evap system and all that stuff. So, oh, something cool I didn't show you yet, but I went ahead and cut a hole here, and I'm going to be able to use the factory fill nozzle and everything for this thing. So I'm pretty stoked about that. But I gotta go get ready for work. I gotta go play boat captain for the night and for the next 6 nights. So, but I will be back out here some tomorrow. So we will see you tomorrow. All right, guys, I'm finally back in the shop. It has been almost 2 weeks. You can probably tell I'm still kind of sick, but I've been fighting strep and flu for the last week or so. It's been pretty rough, but I am back out here now, so we'll try and get something done. We're going to try and get this Liberty started. Kind of, hopefully. We'll see. So, a little bit more welding to do. I'm going to weld in this bottom plate for this platform that I've been building for this fuel tank. Once I get that kind of tacked in place how I want it, I'm going to throw the whole fuel system and everything back in it, throw a good battery in this thing, and we're going to try and get this thing to run today. So stay tuned. Alright, so I do kind of already have my plate in here. I've got all the welding underneath of this thing done. I still need to kind of tack some of the floor pieces in place, but I can do that later on. Because I mean, all this fuel tank and everything's gonna have to come back out anyway. So I'm gonna kind of tack all these corners down, get this thing where I want it, and go from there. Well, I got all four corners tacked down. Now I'm going to pile all my fuel stuff in here, kind of get all this cleaned up, pile all my fuel tank and evap system and all this stuff back in here. And this thing's going to be running half an hour my time, hour my time, 2 hours my time, a few minutes your time. Let's go. All hooked up. Alright, I'm on the hunt for a battery. I don't want to take them out of my truck. So the next best thing, old blue Jeep. Let's make sure it runs first. It's good enough to start this thing. It's good enough to start the Liberty. Let's make sure this thing's out of gear. Look at all the snow in here. I need to tarp this thing up. Ugh, make sure it's out of gear so I don't crash into nothing. We'll see if it'll start. Alright, man, that thing's stiff. Oh yeah. Beautiful. Well, I think this battery's gonna work. I just gotta figure out what I need to get it out of here and transfer it to Liberty. Let's go. In with the other one. Let's get this to where it's holding in place. Take these suckers off here. Hopefully, I haven't really done anything to this to where it wouldn't run. You know, other than obviously, you know, the fuel tank, but I haven't taken off the starter. I haven't disconnected the transmission from the engine. I haven't drained any oil out of this. I haven't done anything to this to where it wouldn't run. I haven't really disconnected hardly any grounds off the back or anything, so I don't know. We'll see. You'll know when I know. I'll be pretty stoked if this starts on the first try. Mainly because that stuff never happens to me, ever. Oh, I did put engine in a Cherokee not too long ago, maybe last year, 2 years ago. It started up first try. It blew up like a couple weeks later, but it did start first try. So shouldn't say it never happens, just rarely happens. All right, here we go. Time to start this thing. All right, so if you recall, I've already tried starting this thing once and it didn't work. It just clicked. So fingers crossed that it starts this time. We'll see. If it cranks, it's a win. Holy crap, it runs. I smell a lot of fuel. I should probably check for leaks. But dude, that's a win. Yes. That is so sick. Oh my God, I'm so excited about that. Let's go check for leaks. All right, so I'm gonna look at all my connections here. That one was good. There's nothing there. I don't see any fluid buildup anywhere in here. My check engine light was on, but I expected that. Mainly because I don't have any O2 sensors on this thing. Let me grab my light. Let me grab this light right here. So the other two connections are down here, and I don't see either one of those two dripping. So heck yeah. Dude, this is awesome. It runs. Kind of halfway expected it to, but it still runs after relocating the fuel tank. So maybe it was a dream. Sounds like a dang on derby car. Way too loud, and holy cow, it's fumey. So, alright. So, let's see here. What are we gonna do? What's next? I'll show you what's next. Okay, guys. So, what is next? I think I'm going to button up a couple things here, kind of tidy it up a little bit and clean things up, but I need to build a shelf. I need to build like a platform and a way to really secure this tank down. So what my plan is, I'm going to have a couple legs that come off out of the corners of the insert piece for the fuel tank. They're going to come up about just above the top of this and come over, you know, kind of like a platform, like so. It'll cover all this stuff up. The fuel nozzle, I'm going to run through this hole that I've cut, so I'll be able to use the factory fuel door outside to be able to put fuel in this thing, which that'll be pretty handy. My air tank for the air ride is going to go here. The pump is going to go over this side. So all that'll be covered up by the shelf too. I'm probably going to have the shelf do an overhang this way. I don't know. I want to kind of keep everything as light as I possibly can. So what I think I'm going to do is build it all out of either 1 inch, probably 1 inch angle, and do probably a plywood insert on the top as the actual shelf. Now I'm going to make it to where I'll probably use the top with probably 2 inch angle. That way it does have a lip, so if something's in here it can slide around and not fall. But that's the plan for now, and I'm going to make it to where it's also removable. That way I can, you know, take the tank out, service the pump if I need to, you know, things like that. All right, guys, I'm freaking stoked about this Liberty. I can't believe it's actually running right now. That's pretty awesome. I was kind of hoping it was going to run, kind of figuring it was going to run, but you never know whenever you do, you know, a fuel tank relocation. You try to incorporate all the evap system and everything into it with it. So sometimes you do run into some problems. And I know I'm not quite finished with it yet, but for me right now, that is a really big win, especially since I've been sick. You can probably tell I'm still sick, but I'm out here trying to get it done. So that being said, I was really hoping I could make this video a little bit longer for you guys, so I apologize that it's a little bit shorter. Hopefully the next video that comes out, I'll make a little bit more progress on this thing. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to do all the subscribe stuff, and make sure you like the video, leave some comments, do all the good stuff. Share this video with your friends, and keep an eye on the channel. We've got some adventures coming up. I hope, unless something happens with the weather or people get sick. It is that time of year, but watch out for that stuff. And thank you guys for watching this video again. Thank you guys for tuning into the channel, and we will see you next time.